Tonight on Grow, we will explore a crop that some say is good for food, feed, and fuel, and it's even drought tolerant. So why aren't we growing more? We'll explain. Plus, we'll visit a high school where FFA is bigger than the football team. And we will get you ready for harvest with some safety tips. But we start with a crop. Some call it sorghum, some call it milo, whatever you call it, some call it success.
It does not have any red color in there on the berry.
As John Dvorak explains, the grain he holds is great in cookies, especially for those on a gluten-free diet, because it's not wheat, but sorghum.
You do not have to have a food allergy to enjoy the wholesome goodness of sorghum.
Research shows it may lower bad cholesterol and raise the good.
I would like to see sorghum become just as commonplace on the grocery store shelves as rice or dry edible beans or pearl barley.
It's so versatile, it can be used as livestock feed or turned into ethanol.
Brazil uses sugarcane to make ethanol out of their stalks from sugar cane. We can actually have the same amount of sugar in forage sorghums here.
But corn is still king in Nebraska and makes farmers profitable thanks to developed markets that sorghum lacks.
There's no question that we face some challenges in that regard.
So it's time to re-educate farmers.
Sorghum 101.
And let growers know this isn't their grandfather's crop.
30 years ago when it was that itchy crop, some people call it a weed or whatever it is, it's came a long ways in the last few years, and we have a lot of things coming in the future.
John has more than 50 varieties planted near Farwell of what the Sorghum Board believes could be a crop for the times.
As we look at prolonged drought and those kinds of things, and with the interest on the part of the ethanol industry to purchase sorghum, there's really a lot of exciting market opportunities.
Those field days were sponsored by the Sorghum Board, along with University of Nebraska Extension and Abengoa Energy. Now, the recent rains in Nebraska may have helped some crops, but the Agriculture Department say it's likely too little, too late for dryland corn. About 81% of irrigated corn is in good or excellent shape, compared with only 36% of dryland corn. The state's corn harvest is just getting underway with about 2% of the crop harvested. But while it's too late for corn, the USDA says the rain should help improve germination of winter wheat planted in the fall. Meanwhile, Kansas farmers have started planting their winter wheat crop. At the same time, the state's corn harvest has begun. The National Agricultural Statistics Service reported Monday 5% of that state's winter wheat has now been planted. That's about the same as last year and close to the 6% average. But the Kansas corn harvest is getting an unusually late start because planting was delayed by wet spring weather. Harvest, of course, is what farmers have been working all year towards, so experts say don't mess it up with a poorly calibrated yield monitor. UNL Extension educators say yield monitors offer the most important data a farmer can use when making site-specific management decisions. The monitor in the combine cab is important, but there are sensors throughout the harvester that need to be working just right for best results. Now, it may be time-consuming to make sure everything is calibrated, but experts say it'll give you confidence to make decisions for next year. The powerful floods that hit Colorado also brought damage to widespread areas of agricultural land, but at the same time have brought relief for drought-stricken areas. Big sections of farmland have been inundated with floodwater, but it's too soon to put a price tag on the damage. Colorado ag officials say produce crops and irrigation ditches are concerns, but it should recharge soils in drought-stricken areas. Agriculture is Colorado's third largest industry at $8.5 billion last year. Harvest quickly approaches, but in the rush to get corn and beans into your local elevator, don't forget, safety comes first. NTV's Natalie Tavidian talked with experts for more.
Farmers get in a hurry or when they're tired, accidents are more likely to happen. And all this week we've been covering Safety and Health Week for farmers, and I'm here with Mr. Holtz with the Nebraska Safety Center. And Dennis, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, tell us a little bit about some tips that you have.
Well, you know, as we get into the harvest season, this is a really busy and stressful time for farmers. And I'm sure all of them have heard this many times before, but this is the time when you do get into a hurry or, you know, a little bit stressed, that's when an accident happens. And it just, in the blink of an eye, is when something can take place. So it's just kind of a reminder again in there, you know, that it's not worth it, you know, just take that extra, you know, little bit, you know, to make sure that you're safe.
And it is harvest season. Like you said, farmers are busy, probably around the clock, and they can forget, you know, people can forget the smallest little things. So what are some things that you think people should look out for?
It's just, you know, the main thing is just to, you know, be aware of, you know, the machinery and stuff in there. You know, they do work around the clock. You know, one thing that they need to make sure, you know, if they're entering or exiting, you know, county roads or parking trucks on the roads, that they have them well lit up and stuff for other motorists. And it's also a good point, you know, for motorists, you know, that are traveling on our highways and roads to understand that there's a lot more truck traffic at this time of year, and the trucks are, you know, entering the highways or exiting them, and they're a little bit slower. So they need to just be, you know, aware of that fact and, you know, kind of pay a little bit more attention to it. So.
Yeah, you do see a lot more traffic.
Yes, you do.
This time of year. What tips do you have for drivers?
Well, it's just, you know, for the drivers and stuff in there, you know, we talk about being distracted drivers, but it's, you know, this particular thing is just that they need to be aware that, you know, when they do see that truck pull onto the road in front of them in there, you know, that it's probably not going to get up to speed near as fast as what, you know, a normal car would. So they have to take that into consideration. And, you know, also that, you know, there's a lot more trucks that'll be, you know, exiting the road. So just, you know, just to be aware of that is the main thing that they need to do.
All right, Dennis. And the Nebraska Safety Center, what are some of the things you work with the most there?
Well,
some of the issues.
Well, a lot of it, you know, has to do, you know, with distracted driving.
Okay.
We do work a lot with, you know, with farm safety and just making agricultural workers, you know, for as far as like ATV safety and a number of different tractor safety, a number of different things like that is what it's just to make them aware.
All right, great. Thank you so much for joining us here.
And that leads to this week's poll question. We want to know how quickly you plan to begin harvest. You can log on to our website, nebraska.tv, click on NTV's Grow, and cast your votes. A farmer from Cambridge has been re-elected chair of the Nebraska Wheat Board. Vaughn Johnson has served since 2005. Along with his wife Becky, they grow wheat, soybeans, corn, and alfalfa in Furnace County. Johnson was appointed to the board by the governor and elected chair by his fellow board members. The Nebraska Wheat Board is checkoff funded and promotes development of new markets, research, and education. If you can't buy it, build it. NTV's Grow recognizes ingenuity of our family farmers and ranchers. Our co-host Marilyn Barnett was recently home on her family farm to see what her dad has been up to.
Sometimes farmers rely on their own creativity. It's amazing what they can come up with. Sometimes very simple solutions to pretty big problems that they run into. I'm here at the Barnett farm where I grew up, and my father, he's come up with a few ideas of his own. Here's a look. Okay, tell me what this is.
Well, this is a hitch I made for my 6th bale.
Just like Marilyn, if you have a cell phone or video camera, we would love to see your farm and ranch ingenuity. We're launching a new segment. Send us a brief video clip showing what you've come up with, and we may just feature that on a future episode of Grow. You can find out more on our Facebook page or our website at nebraska.tv. After the break, we catch up with the head of a billion-dollar farm co-op and see what I've got in common with him, and certainly isn't the dollars and cents. Find out more after the break.